Taking care of biz. I guess it's the FDA, maybe?
The Food and Drug Administration is taking care of biz?
Well, yeah, I mean, so...
That's okay.
Well, the FDA approved Narcan to be over-the-counter. Narcan is the brand name of Naloxone, which is the medication that is used to reverse opioid overdoses. And they have it in the form of the nasal spray and the injection, but I think it is only the nasal spray that is approved for over-the-counter sales. Now, you used to have to get a prescription, and that meant either like getting a prescription from a doctor, or you could go to a pharmacy and have the pharmacist write the prescription. So now that is eliminated as a barrier, which is a good thing. There are still barriers, unfortunately, like this doesn't make it free.
Yeah.
And it is still cost prohibitive, and there aren't yet solutions for that. But let's focus on the positive, because this is taking care of biz. Right. It has been approved for over-the-counter sales.
A life-saving move from the FDA.
For the first time in history, the FDA has approved an over-the-counter version of Narcan.
The Food and Drug Administration announcing the approval of an over-the-counter version of Naloxone, commonly known as Narcan, making it easier for anyone to buy it at a local pharmacy and have it on hand. If administered quickly after an opioid overdose, Narcan can be the difference between life and death.
How long has she been down?
Like what happened with this 1-year-old girl in Alabama. She overdosed after eating one of her mother's pills, but after a police officer gave her Narcan, she was conscious again.
Come on, baby. Come on.
She survived, but others without access to Narcan might not. Drug overdoses are the leading cause of accidental deaths in America, killing more than 107,000 people in 2021, according to the CDC. More than 80,000 of those deaths involved opioids. And overdoses among teens aged 14 to 18 now reaching a record high, surging 133% in just 2 years. Some schools now even installing Narcan kits in hallways.
We are going all hands on deck because it's such a prominent drug throughout our community.
At least 20 states are now allowing schools to stock Naloxone, training staff and sometimes even students on how to use it. Right now, the average price of a 2-dose box of prescription Narcan is around $130, according to GoodRx. So for Americans who might now want to have Narcan on hand, one important question remains. Will they be able to afford this life-saving medication? And Joe, you never know when you're going to need this medication, but if you do have it on hand, it will be life-saving. And so thankfully, it's going to be over the counter, but the manufacturers say it won't be over the counter until later this summer.
So this is another example of what we were just talking about having policies in the United States and, wherever you live that encourages maximum human flourishing and discourages suffering. And this is one of those policies.
Absolutely, especially in the context which you heard in that clip where overdose deaths have exceeded 100,000 annually for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So it is very important. And in fact, according to the CDC, in 2021, bystanders were present for 46% of fatal opioid overdoses. Yeah. So if they had been carrying Naloxone, Narcan, they could have reversed it. And this really is a miracle drug. I mean, you use it and someone can be revived within minutes.
Yeah, and it doesn't, to dispel any conservative thinkers out there that think that, what about chances for abuse? It's not something you can get high on. It just reverses the effects or the receptors, or there's some high-level science going on where it blocks the opioid from having the impact on your brain and suppressing your respiratory system and everything else. It is, we don't like to use that word miracle drug, but colloquially speaking, it's a miracle drug.
Well, people should think of it like an EpiPen for allergies,
yes,
or like an inhaler for asthma. That's really the way that you should think about this. And if you use drugs, if you are around people who use drugs, you should have it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a good thing to have. They should have it in schools. They should have it everywhere. Like they're talking about in that news package, they should train teachers to use it. I mean, there's no downside for people having this because if you do use it on someone who didn't use an opioid, they're not going to be harmed by it.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have. I carry it. In fact, we were at a gathering last year where someone took a substance and they were having a rough time, and I went over to them and I just like confirmed that it was not opioids.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to, Narcan them. And it was not opioids, so I didn't need to use it. But it's good to have on hand if you're going to be at a party or a gathering or something like that. And we've actually heard from listeners who, after we've talked about Narcan, have gone out to get Narcan and have actually used it to revive people.
Very useful, good on the FDA.
Yeah. Yes.
One step forward toward a betterment for all of us.
Yes.
We'd love to know what you think. Again, 657-464-7609. Of course, you can email a voice memo from your smartphone to idoubt@dollemore.com. One way that you could, two ways you could support the show. One is patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Pick your tier, help support the show, join the Patreon family. That would be fantastic. The other way is to pick up some of this Law and Order President Donald Trump mugshot mugs or t-shirt or sticker. You can go to dollemore.info or click the link in the description, click the link in the show notes, and check it out.
Get a commemorative tee.
Yeah.
Or a mug.
I mean, it really is. We didn't really talk about it earlier, but it's a fun, funny commemoration of justice in America.